Recycling is a universal catchword that no doubt you would have heard quite often. It may even be seen as the trendy thing to do. However it is regarded, the fact is that when it comes to saving energy, saving money, and conserving the environment, recycling is serious business. The initial part of the recycling process is waste brokerage. In waste brokering, recyclable materials are collected and put through a preparation process, then sent out of the island, where they are made into brand new items. One of the waste brokers on the island who collects and deposits disposables into the worldwide recycling pool is Bees Recycling.
One must look at recycling as a viable option in terms of the need to have our scarce resources in terms of land and the landfill preserved, because there's just that much land which we can have for landfilling purposes, and as such, recycling is a viable option. Several cells, at least 4 of them, at the mangrove landfill have already been closed, and therefore we cannot have the continuous use of scarce resources in terms of land for landfilling.
Is recycling a viable way for anyone to make money?
It is a good way because we cannot continue to just discard all of the recyclable materials which we generate in our homes on a daily basis. We must look at putting these back into circulation because they can be ground, they can be processed, even the metals, these are also sent overseas, and it also brings in valuable foreign exchange for the country.
Recycling is only one component of the 4 R's hierarchy, which are reduce, reuse, recycle, and then recover. And recycling is actually only the 3rd one. It's very important to do all of these where you reduce the amount of waste generated in general.
A veteran of the recycling business for the past 16 years, Paul Bino recalls the events which led him to where he is today.
Well, I really started out in Carlton Supermarket bottle room. And after moving on from Carlton Supermarket, I then opened my own bottle room in Eagle Hall. And that's in St. Michael. And from there, we was just receiving all local drink bottles and taking back to the relevant authorities. And then from there, we purchased this piece of land here to do something completely different. After putting down a small bond, Juicy then came to me and asked me if we would receive their PET bottles for them and take them out of circulation. So I started there with Juicy, and then Coca-Cola came on. And from there, we then grew into all other bottles, which is rum, ketchup, whether it's glass or plastic. We then went on to all bottles, and from there we grew on into vehicle batteries, metals, cardboard boxes, the whole, anything that we can sell, we then try to put our hands on it.
I think we've come pretty far. We're doing pretty well. We are making more use of the avenues available to us. We have the Sustainable Barbados Recycling Center. This is where all of our garbage goes, and they do some diversion there. So between them and the other recyclers on island, we divert about 70% of all of our waste stream from landfill, which is pretty good. And then we have done a knowledge, perceptions, and attitudes survey, which showed us that 69% of people are actually involved in reducing or recycling in some form. And those who don't, about 23% of the people who said that they don't, are actually interested in starting, so they just want to know how they would do that.
If I am a householder who wants to recycle, where do I begin?
What we prefer is that when we come out together, whether it's a business or a home, the bottles or the materials that we want or would collect stored in a dry area. Okay, and as long as a dry area, we would prefer that so that when we come, everything is clean and tidy. And we know that this is the rainy season so on now, so what we don't want is them outside catching water and mosquitoes and that kind of. That's one of the things that we just don't want. Or around the dogs and the cats and the animals and so on, because sometimes you can get corned beef tops or mackerel, sardines, and they can also have ends of those things, and we don't want them outside catching rodents and so on. So we like them in a dry area, clean area, and we will deal with them. Them the things we like. The things we do not want is to scatter all over the place and to see them ending up in the drains and gutters and so on. I would advise you like to wash out your, especially cans. Okay, wash them out a little bit and keep them in a dry area. Keep them away from the animals. And if necessary, you can separate the glass from the cans and give us a call. We will come and collect them for you and pay you on the spot too.
Collection for export is the order of the day for businesses like Bees and Ace Recycling, which ship everything from glass, plastics, and paper to neighboring countries like Guyana and as far away as China and Korea.
At least 90% of all materials here would be exported. And when we export to Guyana, we export to Canada, we export to the US. And these, in terms, especially in Canada and the US, they unship to China and other Far Eastern countries. Therefore, when we sell to, especially the United States and Canada, it's valuable foreign exchange, which will be coming from these countries. Indeed, from Guyana as well, we will have to be paid in US dollars. This will boost our foreign reserves and improve the whole question of the use of foreign exchange in Barbados, since we need to generate as much foreign exchange as possible to improve the reserves of our country.
Ace Recycling, situated at Guinea Plantation in St. John, has been in the paper recycling business since 2012. Their collection drive runs from St. Philip to St. Lucie.
We are Ace Recycling, recycle all types of paper. We have something called super mix, where the different types of paper that cannot be separated, like as a white colored or newspaper, will go into this one pile, and we call it super mix, and we can also make bales out of it. And based on our experience in the US, decided that Bajans weren't recycling enough in the island, and due to the volume of garbage that's on the streets, and maybe not in the homes, but people throw like important paper that can, that fills up the landfill. To avoid that, we just started the paper recycling business so that we can have a safe and healthy environment. The best way to recycle paper at home, I would say, is if you have like newspaper, you can either tie them in a bundle or you can use boxes to store them. If you have the books and the magazines, you can also use boxes or you can tie them in bundles also. The telephone directories, you can stack them the same way, and you can try to store them in a cool, dry place. We even take the envelopes with the window. We take newspaper, office paper, like books, magazines. We also take telephone directories, and we also take cardboard boxes. We have trucks that go out and pick up the materials from various residential homes, businesses, bring back the material here to our plant, and from there we sort it. We go through the material, sort it, make sure it is recyclable material. Then from there we take it to the baler and it gets compressed, and from there it goes into a bale, and then we put it into containers and ship it out for export. We are in the Yellow Pages. They will call and make arrangements to when they want the paper pickup, and we will send the truck out Some homeowners offer to bring the materials to us if it's a short distance, and we appreciate that. But normally we have the trucks go out and pick up the paper from the homes or residential areas.
If good recycling practices begin at home, then members of Ruby Park Community and the Graham Hall Terrace Neighborhood Association are shining examples.
Once the Community Association was formed, one of our projects, we intended to deal with keeping the community clean. And part of one of our aims and objectives is about the environment. So we decided that we would look at recycling, and one of our members, committee members, the Assistant Secretary, was aware of the Graham Hall project with bees. And she told us about it at the committee level, and we brought it to the community, and it was brought up in straight away.
Many of us had gotten together and discussed it before. We had friends who were already doing it, taking their recyclables to Bees bottling depot already, and we thought, well, certain private people were doing it, and so we actually went right to the source because we felt a need to contribute as a responsibility of our neighborhood.
Was it difficult to get your recycling program implemented?
As soon as we brought it to the community, at a community meeting, and we actually got the guys from Bees came and spoke to us about it, and then the second meeting that we had, Mr. Bino himself came, and it was accepted readily.
Particularly those ones who have children, because this was following on with what the schools were teaching about recycling and looking after our environment, especially on a small island. And I really credit the parents for enticing their kids to do this, not only at school to watch what fell at school, but also outside of, driving along the road and seeing garbage being strewn out of buses and so forth and so on. And at least in our neighborhood, we were trying to reduce, reuse, and recycle here ourselves. So we hope that we made a wee bit of difference in continuing on their education.
Are there rules of etiquette to be followed when recycling?
Yes, we try to instill in the members in the community to separate the recycling as the best they can. I know it's tedious and it can be sometimes a bit trying, especially you're in the home doing something, and but some do try, and we try to separate as much as we can beforehand.
How much do you make every week just from recycling your disposables at home?
I would say on average we make in a month about between $220 to $240.
If you could say something to encourage everyone to recycle, what would that be?
I would say get on board. It is an excellent thing for the country, not just individuals, for the country. And think of your environment. I think it needs to be wider. I think everybody needs to get on board. And I certainly encourage other community groups to do the same. And we've had others come on board because of us.
Householders are not the only ones who recognize the vast benefits of recycling. The business community, too, are stakeholders who stand to gain from the process.
So even within the manufacturing process, as part of everyone's day-to-day task with whatever it is they're doing, there is some sort of sorting that happens from off of the production lines, whether or not it is at Pine Hill Dairy and the Tetra Paks, whether it's at BBC here with the plastic bottles, whether it's at the brewery with the cans and the glass bottles. There are various areas in which types of sorting occurs, and then finally comes out where Bees then aids us in that process in taking it for recycling. We're really grateful where that is concerned, and if for some reason that there is one of these possible recyclables that they're not able to take, it affects one of our core values, which is being responsible and accountable, as well as being good corporate social responsibility, because that is one of our statements for our vision, to be leaders in that area. As a result of this, we're able then to ensure that we have the least amount. We would love to aim for nothing at all going into our landfills. Yes, we're talking about recycling, but obviously we start as well with reuse, and we do also have that relationship going on with Bees bottling as well. because there is what we would consider a waste product for us that Bees has been able to reuse.
What happens to the recyclables that you collect here at Bees?
Okay, we either clean the rum bottles, as you can see here. Any that is chipped or we cannot wash for whatever reason, then we export that glass as a raw material to be further recycled. So you don't lose nothing there. You got now the plastics which we will shred, and the cardboard and so on, we will bale that. So everything that comes in, we can process it in one form or the next in order to containerize it before shipping.
Collecting recyclables in an efficient and cost-effective manner is one of the key factors to success in the recycling industry.
Bees Recycling has started a program where we ask residents to separate all of the recyclables into PET bottles. So you're looking at plastics and glass and other recyclables, so that when they're collected on the trucks, there'll be less time spent in sorting, because much time is spent in sorting in the plant when these recyclables are not separated. So we are trying to get bins where the members of the public can actually put the various types of recyclables into these bins. It would be for much more efficient management of the process when they reach the plant.
Ensuring that their materials are recyclable assists Banks Holding Limited in meeting their environmental management objectives.
Obviously, first aim is to reduce. We want to reuse, and then we want to recycle. And recycling is the third one. We already covered the first two in terms of making sure that our suppliers use the minimum amount of containment and so on when they ship things to us. We use what we can within the plant, or as I said, across the groups and so on. We do that. Bees also aids us in that recycling, in that reuse process, sorry. And then for the recycling, which is the last one, that we aim to stop at, because obviously there is the go to landfill option, that then they aid us where that is concerned for the various materials that we have, which could be wood, it could be plastics, it could be tins, cans, it could even be metal that might have been a piece of machinery that might have been once within the plant itself. Obviously there are the batteries and so on for the various pieces of equipment that are in there, and they aid us in ensuring that these things don't go to our landfill.
Here at Banks Holdings Limited, they practice what they preach.
We also do the same thing with our staff, in that the various facilities have staff recycling facilities within them, in which we encourage our staff to do what it is they do as part of their regular routine at work, and to do their sorting at home, and they can come to work and with their various tin cans and their bottles, etc., from all the various processes within their home, and also bring them here that they can also be recycled.
Which is really good. It helps us to get rid of some of that organic waste. That's the waste that, you know, breaks down and makes your garbage smelly and so on. So all of your fruit and vegetable peelings and so on, and your leaves from your garden and your grass clippings, those can be used for composting.
Hi, my name is Rachel Walker, and I'm part of the Green Team at Bougainvillea Beach Resort. Over 20 years ago, I studied agriculture, and what I thought would have been a fantastic idea for the hotel to grow their own vegetables. Once I got approval from the owners, I started to collect all the containers, what we call reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. Now, for example, we have the tin cans, oil containers that are obtained from the restaurant, and the various bottles and dishwashing from the housekeeping department. Once I've recovered them, I drill holes in them for proper drainage. We reuse them by planting the various vegetables. For instance, we have the hanging tomatoes, what is better known as the topsy-turvy, sweet peppers, and hot peppers. And then we plant. And here is our reaping success.
Because of its recycling efforts for the last 10 years, the Bougainvillea Beach Resort has gained Platinum certification from EarthCheck, one of the world's largest certifiers of sustainable travel.
Our recycling program here works because each of our departments actually comes together to help with the recycling. We have our housekeeping department, which basically they go and they reuse old linens to be able for cleaning, as well as they go and they use their own organic recipes for window cleaners as well as for other cleaners.
Welcome to Bougainvillea. My name is Pauline. I'm going to show you a little demo on the environmentally products that we use at Bougainvillea. We will put like half cup of dishwashing. We'll pour it in here. This is some stuff that we already make. Then we will add some vinegar to it, and we would put this is borax we normally use. So you put the borax, you put the dishwashing and vinegar, you break it down with some hot water, and then you add your different vinegar and whatever to it. All right, and this is some of the mixture here that's already done. So then we will pour it in here, and we put it in a 12-ounce bottle. This is the bottle that we'll pour it in, so we use this for cleaning.
Reducing the number of cleaning products used at the hotel is seen as important since this cuts down on the waste generated.
We recycle our ink cartridges, our plastics, our glass, as well as our cardboard through Bees Recycling, as well as old computer equipment. So we also have sprinklers which come on only at night. When we do that, it also has rain gauges. So with the rain gauges, if rain has fallen, then that means that the sprinklers won't come on at all. So with the paper, when we recycle it, we also shred it so we can donate it to farms, as well as we have our scrap paper, which we make little notepads from. So that's basically what some of the departments do. We also have our maintenance department. We have inverter AC units installed in all of our guest rooms here, which use less electricity, as well as it uses an environmentally friendly refrigerant. We also have LED lights installed in our guest rooms. We also check for irregularities to do with our electrical, water, as well as natural gas when it comes to the meters, so we know if something is going to waste or if something is wrong.
In the tourism sector, recycling activities have become part of the product that is offered to tourists who visit our shores.
With our main source markets, such as Europe, North America, and the UK, the guests all have an environmental program already in place in their respective countries. So when they come here, it's only natural that they would like to recycle. We save around $16,000 here at Bougainvillea Resort per year. So because of this also comes from just recycling, as well as from energy saving, and as well as from water saving.
In the world of recycling, the phrase "less is more" could not be any more true. The less we throw away, the more space we create in our landfill, the more jobs we create in the recycling sector, and the more money we have in our pockets.
The recycling sector in Barbados is really developing quite nicely. Also, you have the employment factor. They employ quite a few people. Depending on how large your business is, you have, employment from 1 or 2 up to some have as many as 60.
Recycling can save foreign exchange since making products from raw materials costs much more than if they were made from recycled products. Recycling also reduces the need for raw materials, therefore using less energy and preserving natural resources for future generations.
Welcome your feedback on our programs. You may email your comments to bgisfeedback@barbados.gov.bb. You may also view our website at www.gisbarbados.gov.bb or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the BGIS.